All right, good morning. This is Pastor Paz for the Lost Bull Network. Today we are going to talk a little bit about people, population mostly. It's getting to be a crowded world out there. And based on that, we need to talk about how crowded is it and what are the consequences. The Georgia Guidestones, I talked about this before. You need to look them up, read what they are. They're like the commandments for a new world that somebody put up, probably some religious organization, talking about how many people we should have on the earth, different sayings, I can't remember, but the one that sticks out is that there should be no more than 500,000 people on the earth. And based on that, what we have now is over 7.5 billion people. And most of us don't realize just how many people that is. It's a lot of people, to say the least. Many of them are in big cities, and most of us that live out in the suburbs, we see quite a few people. There's houses everywhere. There's cars everywhere. And there's people walking everywhere, riding bikes, running. It is getting to be a crowded world out there. And things are going to happen, right? It's the nature of the beast. Being that we are who we are creating a world that is just falling apart. It's falling apart because we're using so many resources. We are using so much space, and we are crowding out so many other species and destroying so much of the environment that we don't even think about it. It's not just about climate change. We are encroaching on other animals' habitats. We've been doing that for decades, centuries. But now we're really accelerating it. And the waste, or the byproduct of our conquest of the environment, we're starting to see the damage that it can do. And in most cases, the only reason that we don't see it is the technology that we produced. The house that I live in was once a habitat for who knows how many animals and insects. And now I've got a half acre with a big house on it, which has been built with materials that had to have been stripped from someplace else, and fossil fuels that were dug up to produce the energy to make the products that built my house. And to continue on with the house, to keep it up, I need more things, and the things that I buy for myself and that my family buys for themselves and my friends buy for themselves, well, that all goes into it. We don't think about it. If you take a minute to sit down and look around your house or your apartment, no matter how much you have to look at what you have. So if you have, just for instance, silverware. Well, it took a lot to produce that silverware, right? And they did it on a grand scale. It wasn't one at a time, and it wasn't special, and it wasn't very low use of materials. It took a lot. The plastics around the house, the toilet paper in your bathroom, all of these things used something. Even if they were recycled, they used an exorbitant amount of water to be recycled. They used heat, which is produced from some outside source, whether it be fossil fuel or electricity from someplace. I hear a lot of people talk about how polluting is it? How polluting is a like hybrid car or a car with batteries. Well, it is polluting because it doesn't pollute now, but all the processes that took to make it did pollute. But it's worth it. I mean, I'm not going to deny it's worth to have the electric car because over the long haul, it's going to be better for the environment than, fossil fuel car, because a fossil fuel car still uses all of those processes to make the car, but then they continue to produce an exhaust with pollution out of it. But back to people. There are so many people out there. We need so much to keep them going. And we talk about GMOs being bad. We don't want GMOs. But the problem is, if we don't have GMOs, the yield of the crop will be much lower because the environment, we've changed so much. There's a lot of drought. Some places there's so much flooding. The ground is getting lacking nutrients because we keep using the same ground over and over again trying to produce enough food to sell. Although we have an excessive amount of food in most places, in some places we don't. Look at India. It's horrible. I mean, they're third world countries. We talk about the United States, the excess of food we have. Well, it's not really excess of food. It's just food that we waste. It's supposed to go everywhere. We have to feed the population. But do we really want to feed the population? I hate to bring this up because it's probably really, really bad couth. But, do we need 7 billion people on the planet? It's a tough call. Really, at this point, we should be worried more about getting off the planet and starting a new colony somewhere else because it is getting crowded. 7 billion people. They say, by 2050, there'll be 10 billion people. We can't support 10 billion people. We can, yes, for a certain amount of time because technology will allow us to. Because we will be able to garden indoors. We will be able to use solar energy and wind energy and nuclear energy to keep us going. And it's going to shadow the fact that we are destroying the environment, still destroying the environment, still producing waste, still clearing fields and trees and draining water, and water being drained by drought, and polluting the oceans, and the oceans going acidic, or it's all going to keep going. Some of us won't notice because of technology, simple technology, and we'll keep producing the things that we don't need. So, what could change all that? Well, a couple things could change all that. And we have a couple spots where we had opportunity to change that. One of the most recent was in 2008 during the crash. It was a crash for everybody except for the wealthy. We bailed out them, and so it continues on. We could have made changes then that might have slowed things down. And yes, there would have been more poverty, but then there would have been more opportunity with more people doing. People are so they want big things. I mean, there's one billionaire who has 7 yachts. 7 yachts. Millions of dollars apiece. There are people out there with 10, 15 homes that are well over $1 million piece all over the world. And everybody else is just trying to get there. And as long as the masses keep wasting, the rich will get richer. The rich don't like to spend money. They don't spend money. They don't spend money. They borrow cheap money, but we can't do that. We can't do that. So the masses just keep having babies and just absorbing all this stuff. At what point do we say enough is enough? We're going to have to stop. China had their one-child thing for a long time. And now they face a problem because nobody wanted the females, right? So they were killing them off, giving them away. it's horrible because they wanted males, and so that it didn't work. Now they're like, oh, you're gonna have 2 children, so at least one of them can be a female, and maybe we can keep the race going. But there's billions of people over there, and they don't have room. Their technology is not going to be able to keep up with the population. It's just not. And so people are going to die. You look at the people in India, there are people dying all the time because of the drought. In the United States, the only reason we don't see it is because we're transporting water to these places. I've seen documentaries on drought where people are living in California and they have huge tanks in their front yard and the water gets delivered to them. And they continue to live in a drought area. They haven't migrated anywhere. They're still there. Somebody's paying that bill. It's all of us paying that bill, but mostly the Californians are paying that bill, and it's moving forward. The drought is moving forward. It will continue on. People will still not be able to live in these areas. Finally, they're going to have to give up. And we can look back on history and see where the people that migrated, they were moving from one place to another, and it was because of usually something natural occurrence, some drought that might have happened in the area, flooding or famine, something that happened made them move. And the reason they moved was because they didn't have the technology to stay where they're at. Right now, all we have is technology. If that technology fails us, or we are unable to keep up with it, to our changing environment, people are going to die. The other thing is, the reason I put the hashtag Black Lives Matters is because we are getting crowded. There's just going to be these interactions with everyone. If you believe that this wasn't going to happen, this is not the march of Martin Luther King. These are well-armed people now. Back in the day, they didn't have the weapons that they have. They were under extreme pressure. They were willing to sacrifice their lives. Now, they're willing to take other lives. And I'm not just saying it's the black people that feel like this. It's the white people. This is why all of the rich people are hiding. They're staying mobile. And people are starting to see that the encroachment on them. Taylor Swift the other day, somebody got on her estate, wanted to marry her, wanted to propose to her. In his mind, it was okay. And they don't want that. They don't want you near them and their richness. They want to keep you at bay. And they want to have fun wherever they're at. So they employ bodyguards and stuff. So I guarantee you that the security will get beefed up there. But she wasn't even there because she has other homes. So think about the population. Think about what you do. People are starting to live in little tiny houses because they don't want to take up any more of the environment. And I don't blame them. But look around and see what you can do to maybe change your environment, use a little less, give a little more, or just stop taking in general, and live a simple life for now. This is Pastor Paz for the Lost Bull Network. I don't know what kind of network it would be. But follow us at lostbull.com, or at lostbull, at lostbull on Twitter, and or lostbull.blogspot.com, and follow the blog. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.